3, 2, 1. What is going on? We're live. Tin Roof, cheers. What's up? Wednesday, September the 15th, 2021. Appreciate y'all coming on. Excited to be back out here at Tin Roof on a nice weather night, by the way. I think last week we had a really dreary, strange, ominous day. Back here with my sound guy, Phil. We got everybody out and about here at Tin Roof. Really excited to talk Gamecocks. It's Georgia week. To hell with Georgia. To hell with Georgia. Who better, by the way, to join us a little bit later in the show? John Strickland, a good buddy of mine, a good friend of a lot of us in here, former Gamecocks offensive lineman that was in the trenches against the Dogs, won back-to-back games against them in 2000 and 2001, and certainly has a lot of insight on that rivalry and playing Georgia and beating Georgia. So it's going to be a lot of fun talking to him. It's against South Carolina, which sits right now as 32-point underdogs. The over-under set at 48 in this football game. Carolina will travel to Athens, Georgia to take on the Dogs who try to pull off another miraculous upset, if you will, in this football game. Again, you'll recall 2019, South Carolina traveled to Athens and got the dub. Got the dub as 24.5-point dogs. So again, this Gamecocks football team, in which, by the way, is Shane Beamer's first SEC game as head football coach, his first SEC game ever as a head coach. So going to be very interesting. A lot of storylines in this. But again, we are live digitally on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And appreciate you all tuning in again. Those who are here in person at Tin Roof as well, be sure to come on out. We've got 50-cent wings. We've got $3 drafts. A lot of great specials as well. Like I said, John Strickland joining me here in a little bit, probably closer to hour or two of the show, 6 o'clock or so. But very exciting stuff. Like I said, guys, here on a Wednesday. Take your questions, your comments, and your calls as well. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. I see Cody Gaskins in here, Twisted Chicken as well, Justin Langford. Having a really good time. So again, what's really interesting about this too is I actually just spent the last hour before I got to Tin Roof recording tomorrow's show and breaking them down and talking about Georgia, the ins and outs of them, the details, the key matchups, the key game, of course, that will drop tomorrow. Phil, what's going on, my guy? Phil Harris. All the Phils are here. But spent the last hour or so breaking down the Georgia Bulldogs and their football team. And I have a question for all of you. How is South going to go to Georgia? What has to happen on Saturday? Because realistically, you're a 32-point underdog for a reason. Of course, we're coming off. We're sitting here Wednesday 2-0. We're 2-0, by the way. Let's not lose sight of that. The Gamecocks are 2-0 right now. The first time South going to start the season 2-0 since 2017, I believe. So it's been quite a while. Actually, South Carolina received votes this week for the AP Top 25. So again, a very good start to the season, an ideal start, what you predicted, what you hoped for, and obviously a really gutsy win over the weekend against the East Carolina Pirates. We can talk about that. We can talk about Georgia. We can talk about anything else as well. Again, guys, take your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. Also, guys, I will just point this out just because this just came out on Twitter like less than an hour ago. We don't really talk about it on my show a ton, but I'm a sports guy. I kind of just trying to stay in my lane. But the University of South Carolina just sent out an email apparently the city of Columbia has approved an emergency ordinance and blah, 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 blah. Long story short, it sounded like masks are back at Williams-Brice Stadium. So that is the latest update. Masks are back at Willie B. That's per this email that someone sent me a screenshot of that the university sent out to basically every student, staff, faculty, whatever. So, I'm sure there'll be more coming out of that. Again, of course, Gamecocks play Kentucky next weekend. 7 o'clock kickoff at Willie B. I don't think there will be any capacity limitations or anything like that, but it definitely sounds like masks are back at Williams-Brice Stadium. So, we'll see. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just going off of what we saw on Twitter and what I've been sent, what I've been told. So I'm sure, like I said, Ray Tanner, the university, they'll have a lot more to say on that. But that is the latest. Either way, though, we're going to talk football. 843-790-3377. Justin Langford says, I love how Darius Rush said that the 32-point underdog is just a number. Indeed it is. Indeed it is for sure. Let's see. Let me make sure. Let's see. There we go. All right, cool. There we go. All right.
For those tuned in digitally, apologize. We had the wrong microphone set up. We had the wrong microphone picked. So there we go. We should be good now. But yeah, 32 points, man. That's a huge spread. And what's crazy about that spread, by the way, too, we love to talk gambling on my show. And, of course, today's show, we dropped the best bet. We dropped our best bet for kind of Georgia. We dropped our SEC gambling picks. But Georgia opened up in this game as a 31-point favorite, right? A 31-point favorite, which is a massive spread. I mean, you're damn near a 5-touchdown underdog. And since then, the line initially dropped to Gamecocks as a 31-point underdog from 32 to 31. That line has since gone back up to 32. So again, for those who think the line is crazy and it's unrealistic and it's stupid and just hammer South Carolina, hammer South Carolina, hammer South Carolina, there are people out there that actually believe Georgia is going to cover 31. So take it for what it's worth. My best play in the game is under 48. I think when you look at this football game and what South Carolina is going to have to do to realistically have a shot in the football game, I think shortening the game, limiting possessions, running the football, controlling the clock, that's actually one of my keys to the game that will drop tomorrow. Control the clock. Find a way to keep Georgia's offense off the field. Because, again, I think one of the silliest narratives coming in this football game is that Georgia is incompetent offensively. They're below average offensively. No, I think the Dogs are good. I think Georgia is good. What's really interesting about this game, too, is it's not often you have a line where you don't know the quarterback situation for either team, really. I mean, South Carolina, you've got the whole Zeb Nolan, Luke Doty thing. Is Luke Doty going to be 110%? Is he going to be ready to go? Where there's smoke, there's fire, and we're still hearing smoke that it might be Zeb Nolan this weekend, which is a frustrating topic to discuss in itself. And then on the Georgia side of things, I mean, Stetson Bennett, JT Daniels, both on the injury report. Is it going to be Carson Beck, the redshirt freshman? I tend to think that it probably will be. So how many times do you come into an SEC game or just a college football game in general where we don't even know who's going to play quarterback for anybody? And how much of an impact in the game will that make? So I think for South Carolina, man, no matter who plays quarterback, you're going to have to run the football. It all starts with the offensive line, which, again, is why I'm so excited to get John Strickland in here. I'm so excited to talk with John, a guy. I think it's very difficult to talk offensive line play intelligently if you've never actually played the position, if you've never done it on the football field. There are a lot of intricacies and things that make it very, very complicated. It's not quite as simple as just line up and get the guy across from you. There's so many different things that go into it in regards to schematically and strategy and things like that. So I'm excited to have John here to kind of ask him, hey, man, what's going on with the Gamecocks offensive line? What's the deal? What have you seen? He was actually in Greenville. So, again, I'm excited to ask him, what have you seen? What have you seen from this unit that, 4 of 5 returned from last year, over 80 career starts, and it's a line that paved the way for Kevin Harris and what he did a season ago. So what's been the issue thus far? I mean, yes, teams are stacking the box, and they're selling out on the run. They're making South Carolina prove that they can throw the football, because we all know that's the deficiency on this football team is wide receiver and just the passing game as a whole. But still, I mean, you're South Carolina, 2.8 yards per carry against an East Carolina unit, and only like 109 yards rushing against an East Carolina team that last year averaged giving up 201 yards per game on the ground, and then in week 1 surrendered 226 yards to the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Now, speaking on that game, credit Shane Beamer, credit this coaching staff, credit everybody involved, man, for showing the guts in that one to get the win. Everything went against you. You had every reason to lose that football game. And can you even imagine the mood this week if South Carolina would have lost that football game? Can you even imagine? It looked like the boys at Tin Roof had a good time last Saturday too. I don't know. I think it was a pretty good crowd, by the way. Good time. When Parker White's kick went through, you guys had a good crowd. Yeah, we were in Greenville, so it was a blast. Tons of Gamecocks. Again, I can't say it enough. I appreciate all the upstate Gamecocks. It was crazy. I think we had all parts of the state covered with the TSUS watch party in Greenville, South Carolina. We had Tin Roof was holding it down in Columbia, and then my buddy Jeff O'Hara with Cox by 90, they had a watch party down in Charleston. So we were just all over the state last weekend. But, what a great win. Again, kudos to everybody involved with Gamecocks football and Shane Beamer and everything they did. It sounds like Phil saying the hotline is down. Yeah, I apologize, Phil. I think I actually cut it off after the Daily Crow earlier. Let me open up the phone lines, by the way, 843-790-3377. I apologize for that, Phil. If you want to call in now, it is open. And I'll get to a couple of questions I missed, by the way. Tyler Weed texted us earlier today. He said, I'm a realistic guy. I think Georgia should dominate this one. Thoughts on another week of Beamer Ball with a defensive or special team score? Keep up the great content. Catch you in Cola soon. You're going to need both. You're going to need a defensive score. You're going to need a special team score. Beamer ball is going to have to be alive and well this week. How much fun has that been to watch that the first couple of weeks, with special teams? Obviously, Damani Staley with a big pick six, two straight weeks with a pick six. Can you do it for a third? Again, you're going to need it. You're going to need it, I think, to have a realistic chance in this football game and to give Georgia a scare, if you will. I mean, you look at that 2019 game because fans, they all want to look back to 2019 and say, oh, it's possible, it's possible. I'm certainly not going to be the guy this week that's going to tell fans it's impossible for South Carolina to go to Athens and get the win. But I'm also not going to pretend like it's not going to be a huge, huge, huge challenge for this football team. It's just no question. Top to bottom, you're outclassed. That's it. Top to bottom, they're more talented than you. That's it. You look at 2019 and what happened and what made that possible. Turnovers. You think about it. You're able to pick off Jake Fromm 3 times, right? You're able to pick off Jake Fromm 3 times. One of them was a pick six. Making things like that. I mean, hey, if you want to pull a big upset on the road, you know what help? Special teams. Special teams. Right? Beamer ball. Taking advantage in the special teams. How about a block kick? How about a block punt? How about a kickoff return for a touchdown? How about a punt return for a touchdown? Legendary Kirk in the building. Here we go. Fan of the game, Kirk Hollingsworth in the building with his signed plaque and all. Surprised he didn't wear his blazer. I'm a little disappointed. Good to see you again, Kirk. It's been too long. Good to see you. Again, we're taking your questions, comments, calls. Phil's coming through here. I'm gonna put my sound guy Phil to work here. We're gonna take a call from Phil Harris on the phone lines. All right, Phil, you're live. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, it's Phil. It's calling Phil number 1 calling in.
Yes.
What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? Fire away.
Just wanted to inform you that I don't think it's impossible. I just think it's extremely improbable that we're going to beat Georgia. Hoping that it happens, but not expecting it. I think that's how Gamecock fans should approach this game. How do we win the game? We play Beamer ball, like you were saying just a moment ago. Block a punt. Block a kick. If they're bringing in a quarterback that has very little experience because of injuries, rush the hell out of him, sack his ass a couple times, make him throw an interception. That's how we win the game. I just wonder about their defense is so stout, dude. How are we going to score points at all? Yeah. That's my biggest question. And I don't know the answer to that. And I'm hoping somebody down at the football operations center knows how to answer that question because I sure as hell don't. So we'll see what happens. Hoping for the best, but expecting the worst.
Good stuff. No, I agree with you, Phil. I'm going to take it off air because I'm making my sound guy, Phil, work very hard here. But, no, I appreciate you calling in.
All right, my brother. All right, bye.
All right, thanks, man. No, Phil's right. Phil's right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, to make this happen, like I said, you look at the 2019 game, what you did opportunistic with turnovers. Play aggressive. I mean, what do you have to lose? Play aggressive. Get after Carson Beck. I mean, you're going to have to. One of my key matchups in the game tomorrow is defensive lineman J.J. Nigbare, who is your probably best player on defense against Carson Beck. I mean, this is a game your best players had to make plays. That's it. Your best players had to play their best games. You look at 2019 again. Who had a huge game for South Carolina? Javon Kinlaw. I mean, him in the middle, that presence. That's how you were able to force those turnovers. You're able to win at the line of scrimmage. You're going to have to win at the line of scrimmage again. So Nigbare having a big day, yeah, being aggressive, getting after Georgia in many different ways, being creative, open up the playbook, throw the kitchen sink at them. I mean, what do you have to lose? You know what I mean? I here's the thing. I think a lot of good can come out of this football game. No matter the score, no matter the score, no matter the margin, I think a lot of good can come out of this football game. Showing signs of improvement, showing signs of progress, and, showing a few wrinkles for sure. So, I mean, a lot of good can happen. Brent Brooks says, y'all got to stop talking like Georgia boys are unstoppable. Just ask Melvin Ingram how to get it done. Well, Brent Brooks, I hate to tell you, Melvin Ingram, nor Alshon Jeffrey, nor Steven Garcia, nor Marcus Lattimore, nor Jadeveon Clowney, nor Stephon Gilmore, nor Antonio Allen, nor any of those players I just mentioned are walking through that door on Saturday. So you're going to have to try to go win with the guys you got. You don't have any Melvin Ingrams on your roster, unfortunately. I hate to say that. Again, guys, 843-790-3377. Also, if you're live here at Tin Roof, you can text in. You can come yell a question at me, whatever you prefer to do. But, taking your questions, your comments, your calls here. It's Georgia week. To hell with Georgia. To hell with Georgia. We're breaking down the game also. We can talk about if you want to. Over the weekend, South Carolina, East Carolina. Let's talk quarterbacks, man. I tell you, one of the things that's so frustrating to me, it sounds like we might get another weekend of Zeb Noland. And, again, where there's smoke, who knows? It's Wednesday afternoon. I don't think anybody really knows. How does Luke Doty look in practice? He's 100% healthy. But it's sounding like it might be Zeb again. It might be Zeb again. So how do you attack it? It all falls, like I said, on the offensive line. You're going to have one hell of an offensive line performance and have those guys lead the way for you, pave the way. Again, you can't rush for 2.8 yards per carry. Justin Langford says he's the leader of their defense, makes the calls in the field. Number 17, he's saying, for Georgia. Hope we can disrupt that defense and really frustrate them to keep them out of sync. You're going to have to. You can't be predictable. My fear with Zeb Noland under center, and listen, I'm a Zeb fan. Wake me up when September ends. Like, I'm a big Zeb Noland guy. I'm cool with Zeb Noland. I appreciate Zeb Noland. 2-0 through 2 weeks, right? He's gotten us to this point. And it's a great story. GA turns starting quarterback, wins the first 2 games, leads a late drive against ECU. That's where the story needs to end in my mind. I am weary thinking of Zeb Noland leading this Gamecocks attack through SEC play. I am very, very weary of it. People were so quick to rag Colin Hill a season ago and drag his name through the mud, and they still do. And that's fine. I don't care, but Zeb Noland is Colin Hill 2.0. I mean, the skill sets are damn near identical in my mind. Is he a little more mobile? Sure. I think everybody in this bar is more mobile than Colin Hill. But I think with Zeb Noland under center, the offense to me against ECU looked very similar to the offense we saw last year. One-dimensional, very predictable. Again, we cannot sit here and pretend like the wide receivers are a strength. I know Josh Van has emerged. Kudos to Josh Van. Tip your cap. Dak Joyner had a nice catch late in the football game, had some nice catches overall. But your wide receivers are still a question mark. If you go out there and throw 30 or more times, you're going to lose. And what I love about Luke Doty and his skill set, again, he's very unproven still. Will he go Saturday? Will he not? I have no idea. But at least Luke Doty, with his athleticism, his legs, he gives you a sense of a dynamic. Is dynamicism a word? Dynamicism? I don't know. He makes you more dynamic offensively. At least gives you the threat. When you have a mobile quarterback, he's going to be able to get outside the pocket and make plays with his legs. Zeb Noland does not offer that. And as you saw last weekend, by the way, and I talked about this on the show that'll drop tomorrow. As you saw last weekend, South Carolina is not built, guys, to win in 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s. Anything 3rd and long, this is not a football team that's built to win in that. They're not built to win in that down and distance. One of my key matchups again tomorrow on the show tomorrow for Saturday, though, Kevin Harris against Jordan Davis, the great defensive lineman. And whether it's Kevin Harris, whether it's Juju, whether it's Marshawn Lloyd, whether it's Zaquandre White, Rashad Amos, I don't care who it is. You got to find a running game. You've got to find a running game. So you've got to find a running game. Brent Brooks brings up the point that we have monsters on the defensive line. You had Jimmy Lindsey nicknamed the Creatures. And the defensive line's very good. There's no question. The defensive line's very, very good. The problem in this football game is Georgia has guys up front to answer them. Maybe stars aren't everything, right? We've talked to Brad Lawing. Stars aren't everything, but Georgia's got dudes on the offensive line, bottom line. Georgia's got dudes on the offensive line. That's the only way to put it. Scott Dean, our offensive line's got to bring it. No question. No, absolutely no question. Our offensive line has got to play their best game. And, of course, the best game this season. They haven't played worth a damn the first 2 weeks. So there's nothing that tells you that South Carolina is going to be able to do anything. I mean, again, that's to me, like, guys, I'll be honest with you, getting to double-digit points, it's like, how is it going to happen? How's it going to happen? And I'd love to hear your thoughts. 843-790-3377. Tell me. Let me know. How's it going to happen? I don't know. I sat there, cut the mic on, record the show for tomorrow, and just in my mind just said, how in the world is South Carolina going to beat Georgia? But anything can happen. Anything can happen. Phil says, how surprising is it Juju looks like our best running back? It's extremely surprising. It's extreme. I mean, who'd have thunk Juju McDowell will be the lead name we'd be talking about after 2 weeks of the football season? A guy that most figure was fifth on the depth chart. And now, he's one of your guys you're kind of looking at. I mean, made a huge impact in that game. Made a huge impact in that football game. So on Saturday against ECU. So had a big kickoff return. So Scott Dean says, I don't think UGA's secondary has been tested yet. Scott, do you think South Carolina's the team to test them? That's my question. I mean, call it for what it is. I hope so. Maybe Josh Mann can make some plays for you. Maybe Dak Joyner steps up. Maybe Jalen Brooks finally has his best game as a Gamecock. But, I mean, top to bottom, that's not where South Carolina's going to win the ball game. It's just not. This is not going to be a 41-38 kind of game. We had somebody calling today say 31-20. Will officially lock mine in Friday. But to be honest with you, paper, I think on paper, spread feels right. And the spread feels scored one offense. Don't know what just happened there. Okay. Anyways, 843-790-3377. Yeah, E.J. Jenkins. Somebody said, where's E.J. Jenkins been? I told you in the preseason, I think he's a situational guy. I don't think he's an every down player. I think there's been an adjustment, guys. He's going through an adjustment. This is not the FCS. This is not the FCS. This is the SEC. This is not St. Francis anymore. So somebody just texts in, E.J. Jenkins, what's the word on it? We're going to see what he can do. Yeah, I think there's going to come a moment this season, certainly, where he makes a big play for you or what have you. But, I think he's more of a situational guy, like I said. Guys, just because he's big doesn't mean he's good. That's what fans are to realize. I mean, they see the 6'7", and they think automatically he's a great player. There's a lot more to it than that to play in the position. I know he looked good in the spring game. He was also matched up against a 5'9" walk-on. Just call it for what it is. He was. So going up against big-time Power 5, especially in the SEC, man, going up against SEC defenders, is he ready to rise to the challenge? That is the question. We feel like he should be a mismatch nightmare. We feel like he should be a matchup nightmare, if you will. I like Gene Bell. You do need a big game out of your tight ends. Oscar Delp going to be in attendance, by the way, Saturday. Going to be visiting Georgia for the game. Be nice to put on a show for him with your tight ends. Would be nice. Would be very nice. I think fans will be surprised how little the results of a game really matter in regards to recruitment for players. Like they don't make their decisions based off of one individual score in a game. Now, granted, winning games helps recruiting. There's no question. Players want to go play for good teams. It's a lot more fun to play for a team that's good. So I think a lot of that, that does play into it. But no matter what the score is on Saturday, I don't think that's going to be the determining factor for Oscar Delp. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, getting your tight ends involved, that'd be great. You're going to have to, man. You're going to have to get Bell and Muse involved early. There's no question. No question. Nan Martin, I really believe Coach hasn't shown on his cards yet. Come on now, it's Beamer ball. I mean, let me ask you this. What can they do that they haven't shown? I mean, I love in football, people act like there's just like so much trickery and mystery. It's like, dude, it's football. There's only so many plays you can run. I understand there's scheme and different designs and the way you can disguise things, but dude, at the end of the day, it's football. If their guy's better than your guy, he's going to probably win more often than you do. That's just it. So, yeah. So I don't know. I think South Carolina's got to muck this game up a little bit. They've got to make it a sloppy game, turnovers, special team. I mean, again, if you can block a punt, block a kick, return a kick for a touchdown, Beamer ball. I think that's probably the biggest key in the game. That is certainly one of my keys that I listed, but That's a huge key in this football game, man. I don't see a scenario in which you win if you're going to win. I don't see a scenario in which you win if you do not have a special team score. You're going to have to. You're just going to have to take advantage of that facet of the game. It got really dark outside, didn't it? It got very dark. I don't know. Columbia weather, just incredible. Again, we're out here at Tin Roof in the Vista. Appreciate everybody coming out. 50-cent wings, $3 drafts, the food, the drinks here, all incredible. Also, do want to plug this really quickly. I saw on social media, Tin Roof is having a watch party Saturday for the Georgia game. So you can come out here. If you don't want to come here, we're also going to be at Carolina Ale House in Harbison. That is where I will be. So be sure to come on out. Really, really good time. I mean, there's parties all over the place, man. Everybody wanting to tune in, watch the guys take on the Georgia Bulldogs. So really, really fun stuff, really good stuff. Looking forward to it. Again, it's always fun, guys. No matter what the spread is, no matter what the expected outcome is, it's always a lot of fun when these two teams take the field. And I think you'll see that yet again. There's a lot of familiarity between the two squads. I mean, hey, how have I gotten through 26 minutes of the show thus far without mentioning one of the top storylines, and that is the Will Muschamp factor? I mean, he is on their staff. He is on their staff. So for the first time since, what, November of 2014, I guess, for the first time since then, South Carolina will face a team where Will Muschamp is on the opposite sideline. So huge storyline in the football game. How does that really factor in on the field? I don't know that it does. I think it's more for us as the fans in regards to a storyline. But, I mean, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, something definitely interesting as well. Allen says, let's be honest, the only way you walk into Sanford Stadium and walk back out with a win is Georgia having a bad day. We'll be lucky to walk out with 17 points. Hopefully all these Georgia injuries gives us a fighting chance. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, and I think this is stating the obvious, but if Georgia plays their best game on Saturday, if Georgia plays their best game, it doesn't matter what you do. I hate to say that. It doesn't matter what you do. Because, again, you can argue till you're blue in the face, stars don't matter, but they kind of do. Jimmy's and Joe's matter, right? Players win games. Coaches lose them. Jimmy's and Joe's matter. So if Georgia, if their guys execute, they play their best game, your odds of winning are basically zero. Again, a lot like 2019. You got to hope Georgia has sort of an off day, and you force them in mistakes. And when you force them into mistakes, you take advantage of those said mistakes. Got to take advantage of every single mistake. Somebody said the darkness coming of a great sandstorm. Heard it's going to hit Georgia, expecting to arrive around 7 to 10 Saturday night. Yeah, Damian, the O-line's got to step up or we'll be done quick. Indeed, yeah, for sure. Guys, also, we have stickers back in stock. We've got free stickers to give away up here. Also, pocket schedules for the Gamecocks 2021 football schedule. We got some business cards up here as well. And like I said, we're going to have John Strickland, former Gamecocks offensive lineman, on the show here in just a little bit. Looking forward to it. Probably around the start of the second hour or so. So we're going to 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Let's see. Justin Langford says, seemed like the last 2 years of the Muschamp era, I'd be passed out by halftime of the night games because it was boring and the same bull crap. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens on Saturday. Like I said, make it a competitive game at least going through midway third quarter. I think that would be a success for us. All right, let's jump back to the phone lines real quick. We're gonna put Phil back to work. Robbie, what's going on, my man? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you calling in, my man. What's up?
I personally think in order for us to have a decent shot, especially with us being on defense, we need to come up with the 50-50 balls as much as possible.
Yeah, most certainly.
And if we do that and then capitalize off of them, plus have a couple of beamer ball moments, I do believe that we can pull it off and walk out of Athens with a W, and then I can call a friend of mine and rub it in his face a couple of hours later.
I would love that. I would love that for you.
So, yeah, and I think people just need to calm down with this whole quarterback situation, and whoever is the best choice is the best choice, plain and simple. Regardless if it's Doty, Brown, or the GA, it doesn't matter. Whoever gives us the best chance to win at any position, no matter what position it is, that's what they're going to do, plain and simple.
I believe you. I agree. Agree 110%.
And I just think if we can, like I said, if we can rattle, I believe also if we can get to the quarterback early, often, and put him on his butt a couple of times and rattle him a little bit, he'll throw a couple of picks, maybe a pick six, who knows? There's no telling.
Indeed. Robbie, I appreciate the call, my friend. No, Robbie makes a lot of great points. I will say this, though. I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like it's not very frustrating with the quarterback situation. You know, we were looking for, and I think what the thing is for me is I just, you know, selfishly, I so badly am ready to wrap my arms around like our guy, like he's our QB. Because if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. And when you're guessing at the quarterback position, I mean, you're not going to go far as a football team. You're just not. You got to have that position figured out. And, you know, I will say this, and I may get ripped for it, and I may have some people in this bar raise their eyebrows a little bit, and I'm not trying to say people should be coming after Beamer or anything of the nature, but I can tell you this, if this was last year and this Doty thing was going on and we heard for 3 straight weeks that he was 100%, was going to play, we'd be killing Muschamp. People would be killing him. It feels very similar to the last couple of years where it's like you keep hearing like, you know, he's got an ankle, he's got a shoulder. He should be ready to play this weekend, though. And then the guy ended up being out half the season or 3/4 of the season. Again, I'm not saying that's the case right now, but it is a little bit frustrating. Again, especially when it's like you don't feel like we're necessarily putting the best version of our team on the field because we don't have our guy that's supposed to be our starting quarterback. Somebody commented, got to stay away from 3 and outs. Getting a few first downs here and there, a punt will be huge to give the D rest. Throwing a fake punt, everything has to go our way. Is what it is right now. No, indeed. It is what it is right now for sure. Yeah, you're going to have to put together drives. Even if you don't score, that's a great point, man. Even if you don't score, you're going to have to put together drives. You simply can't afford to go 3 and out. You can't. And you saw it a lot last week. I mean, it was painful to watch offensively last weekend. At times it certainly was. You know, and that again, that's what scares me probably the most. You just think to yourself, how was a football team that scored 7 points against East Carolina last weekend going to do anything against an elite Georgia defense? Christian Carver says, Luke Doty healed up 100% for Saturday night. I don't know, Christian. I'm done guessing with the quarterback position. I don't know. I trust Shane Beamer. He's going to do the right thing for this football team. I don't know, though. I don't know. It's just one of those things that you just got to ride with your coach, man. You got to ride with your coach, bottom line. South Carolina, a guy whose name is South Carolina, just commented, we can't start saying just being competitive is a success. A win is a success. Anything else is a failure. Okay, let me say this. The way we talk about the game and the way the people in the building talk about the game are 2 totally different things. If you don't expect to win this football game, you shouldn't be on that team or in that building. They should all expect to go to Georgia and go to Athens and win. However, we have perspective, outside perspective, and we can make predictions and look at the game and make projections and all that good stuff. You can show progress in this football game and do a lot of positive things in this football game, even in a loss. To say it's just an utter failure if you lose, I just think it's a little unreal. You know, I disagree. I just disagree. Let's see. Taylor Novinger was frustrating to see Beamer save. Zeb was fantastic in the second half. I mean, he had some good throws, just okay in my opinion. Yeah, Zeb had some good throws in the second half, but man, I mean, I've never seen a guy who had such great touch on a deep ball but can't hit a 5-yard out. I mean, just awful at times, terrible. So rough to watch. I mean, I think it was very easy to, you know, again, it's funny the things that get lost in the shuffle after a win, right? After you lose, people are so quick to critique and break things down and dissect things. You nitpick every little thing when you lose. But when you win, winning cures all. People are willing to overlook, I should say, deficiencies and problems you had in a football game. So, my guy just walked in. What's going on, my guy? Polo in the mail. It'll be here by the show next week. Yes. Finally, dude, literally, I ordered all these Beamer Ball koozies and everything a month ago. They're just getting to the house tonight. So I will be spending all day, well, not all day, but a lot of the day tomorrow shipping koozies. That's what I'll be doing. So, dude, literally, I went back and looked at the email. I ordered these koozies August the 19th, and they're just getting here. Fulfillment it's awful, dude. It's terrible. So, again, 843-790-3377. We're going to have John Strickland join us here just in a little bit. I think he's going to be around 6 or so. Again, really excited to get John's perspective, just talking offensive line play, this South Carolina Georgia series overall. Really, really pumped to get his perspective on everything for sure. Justin Langford. I see my guy Brendan M. joined, by the way. Joined in. We got a shot if Muschamp's coaching. For sure. Tony Stockman says, Chris, fans don't understand and don't get that Beamer inherited a mess. They can get the worst beating ever Saturday, but even with the roster he has, barring no injuries, I still think Carolina has enough pieces to win 7 games. Fans have got to be patient. Plus, last year's coaching staff would be 1-1. Just roll being 2-0, and if the team shows up Saturday and still loses, I think it's a positive because who you have coaching now. I'll tell you this, what's so funny, by the way, seeing it on social media over and over and over again. It's funny. It's a very popular thing right now to talk about how much Will Muschamp sucks. And, if Will Muschamp was our head coach, we would have lost last week. We wouldn't have blown out EIU. And I just always chuckle when I see that because I remember thinking Will Muschamp wasn't a good head coach before it was cool. And some of the same people that are saying it now, I wanted to boot me from the fan base for saying it. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't really understand it. But, that's an interesting storyline going to the game Saturday is just Will Muschamp and him being on the other sideline. Again, it's going to be very interesting. And I think, again, it doesn't really matter for the game itself on the field of play, if you will. But, certainly those players, a lot of those players really loved Muschamp, and they got nothing but utmost respect for him, and a lot of those coaches do as well. So let's see. South Carolina says, fully agree about seeing progress. I just can't say successful with an L on the board. I hear you. Listen, and Steve Spurrier changed the expectations, right, when he got to South Carolina and said, hey, we don't just want to hang close. We want to win. And that happened when you played the number 1 ranked Auburn Tigers. And South Carolina fans were cheering after they lost by a touchdown. And, Steve Spurrier said, no, that's not the expectation here. We expect to win. And you love to see that. I'm just, keeping it in perspective. I think looking at it, Shane Beamer's 3rd all-time game with what he inherited, to say if they went out there and lost by 10 points to the number 2 ranked team in the country on the road, to say that'd just be a massive failure, that's not necessarily the case because, I had some fans, not many, but a couple that their feathers got ruffled a little bit after South Carolina beat East Carolina on Saturday. I just said that Kentucky now becomes the biggest game of the Beamer era to date. And some people took offense to that and said, no, it's Georgia. What about Georgia? Beating Georgia is great, man. I'd love to beat Georgia. I hate Georgia. I loathe Georgia. I grew up in North Augusta, South Carolina, on the border, right, on the border there, right by Augusta, Georgia territory. Grew up around dog fans. They're awful. They're some of the worst fans in college football, if not the worst. Clemson fans slowly moved into that after they started winning, but Georgia fans are tough. They're bad. There's a reason I know so many Gamecocks that will not go back to Athens. But you look at 2019, what did beating Georgia really get you? It was a nice win. It was great in the short term. But in the long term, this program's got to get back to beating Kentucky, Mizzou, Tennessee on a consistent basis. The one-off crazy upset does not build the program. It does not in the long run really do anything for you. Yeah, it helps in recruiting. I'm not going to say it does nothing, but you need to get back, like I said, to beating the Kentuckys annually. You cannot be a contender if you're not beating Kentucky annually. You just can't. You can't. If you're not beating Mizzou annually, if you're not beating Vanderbilt annually, and then leapfrogging Tennessee or staying ahead of Tennessee, whatever you want to say. So, and of course, Kentucky, 7 o'clock kickoff, night game at Williams-Brice Stadium. What a time that'll be. It's crazy. I was just talking about earlier how nice the weather was today, and sure enough, the skies just opened up in Columbia. Gotta love that cooler weather. But, yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity this weekend. We're going to continue to learn about the football team. And the biggest jump I personally want to see, and the thing that will make me say this game was a success, I just want to see that offensive line. That offensive line's got to get better. I really thought week 1 and week 2, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I gave them the benefit of the doubt after week 1. Hey, you're rusty. It's week 1. Whatever. No big deal. And, there was no improvement, I feel like. There was no improvement. 2.8 yards per carry last week, guys. That's it. I don't care how many guys they're sending. 2.8 yards per carry is 2.8 yards per carry. And it's just not good enough for a line that returned 4 of 5 starters, over 80 career starts. I mean, there was no excuse for what happened last week. And, again, it gets much, much stiffer of competition, much stiffer. I mean, Georgia would probably beat East Carolina by like 50. Just call it what it is. That UAB team that Georgia played last weekend is probably better than East Carolina, to be honest with you. So, and Georgia beat them 56-7. Justin Langford definitely don't want to see that 7-minute drive. No good, only going for a field goal and going riding. Yeah, I mean, if you're this offense, you got to put together long, sustained drives, 8, 10, 12 play drives, burning 6, 7 minutes of clock, obviously getting points as well. But that's my biggest concern this football game. I just don't know how South kind of can keep up. And unfortunately, there's nothing for the first 2 weeks that says the offensive line's going to be there to keep up. What's up? A little bit. I mean, we can always talk quarterback. No, we can always talk quarterbacks. Right.
They want to continue to play Zeb, and just to see how well that goes. They don't want to destroy, Luke Doty's, idea of how he should be in the SEC, how he should be in this team. Who do you think you should start, and why don't you think they would start?
Right. So who should start at quarterback this weekend? Why would they not start Luke? And then, of course, the conversation comes up of, is there a strategy behind maybe they don't want to roll Luke Doty out there because they don't want him to get pummeled by Georgia. See, I'll start there because the interesting thing about that conversation, that's a really easy conversation for us to have, but I'll present to you the scenario. Can you fathom Shane Beamer? Let's say Luke Doty's 110% ready to go. He's been practicing all week. He's ready. Can you imagine Shane Beamer going up to Luke Doty and being like, hey, man, we know you're ready to go. We know you want to play. We're not going to roll you out there because we're scared that you are not going to be able to have success or you're going to get hit. I mean, what would that messaging be? You know what I'm saying? What does that say about Carolina football just as a whole? It's just I don't know. Again, it's easy for us to say that, but really, these are athletes. These are competitors. Luke Doty, and it's just like last year. I think that was Luke Doty's first actual start. And it's Luke Doty came to South Carolina to play in a game like that. He didn't come to South Carolina to shy away from competition. So, personally, me, again, I say the same thing I said about going into last weekend. It's very, very simple. If Luke Doty's 110% ready to go, he gives you the best chance to win. He needs to start. Bottom line. Now, it's your job to devise a game plan where he doesn't get killed. You're not going to put him in position where he's going to, get his head taken off. I mean, obviously. If he's not 110%, I guess you got to roll with Zeb Nolan. I mean, what other choice do you have? I mean, I guess unless you want to try to throw Jason Brown out there or a freshman Colton Gauthier or try something crazy with Dak Joyner. But, I mean, it's funny. We sit here at Tin Roof right now. I do not want to be like the doom and gloom guy, the pessimist. I don't want to kill people's hopes and dreams. But also, like, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. If Zeb Nolan starts, South Carolina has no chance to win. None. Zero. Negative a million. You're just going to be too one-dimensional offensively. And hey, I really, again, I didn't want to take anything away from Zeb Nolan after week 1 against the IU when he threw 4 touchdown passes in the first half. Looked good doing so. But there were most certainly some throws that he made in that EIU game that you kind of felt like, I think against better competition, that might be intercepted or at minimum batted down. And you saw that last weekend. I think you saw it. There were some moments it's like, he didn't get away with that time. I feel like you'd see that even more this upcoming weekend. It's like, some of those balls you're trying to squeeze in there and those late decisions you're making, those are going to get picked off. Like, Georgia's good. Georgia's good. They're really, really, really good. So, I would start Luke Doty. Again, it's very, very simple for me if he's healthy. If he's healthy enough to, I don't get the whole like, we'll bring him in late. We'll bring him in the second half. Bro, if he's healthy enough to play, he should start. That's the way I look at it. If he's healthy enough to play, he should start. He's your starting quarterback, is he not? Is he? Is he not? That's the thing. Is he or is he not? Cole Chance, he said, UAB actually had 127 yards of rushing on 36 carries, 3.5 yards per carry. So, hey, maybe you can run the ball. I don't know. But I can tell you this, again, you ran the ball for 2.8 yards per carry against ECU, and Georgia's defensive front is a lot better. A lot better than East Carolina's. So, Owen Turner, I think Georgia loads the box on us and forces us trying to win with our receivers, which unfortunately is probably not going to happen. Yeah, if you're Georgia, you're not just going to let South kind of run all over you. I think that's how every defensive coordinator is going to attack the Gamecocks, which is why, again, having a guy like Luke Doty who can roll out of the pocket and improvise and make things happen, it's just such an advantage. It's just another athlete you have to account for. Again, Zeb Nolan is Colin Hill 2.0. I hate to say that, but he is. Is he more mobile? Sure. But again, everybody in this bar is more mobile than Colin Hill. But the skill set is extremely identical. Extremely identical. So, But again, I think no matter what the result is, good can come out of this weekend. Good can come out of it. I think you can show progress. You can show signs of improvement. I think the goal of the weekend, outside of the obvious, which is winning the football game, but if you don't win, the goal of this weekend, get to Sunday, get to Monday with hype and excitement for Kentucky week. Because to me, that's the big one. That's the one you need to win. I picked Kentucky as a loss in the preseason. Kentucky looked really good over the weekend, by the way. They have a good team. They have a good football team. This is not the Kentucky of old. It's not the Kentucky of old. Hunter Law says he thinks we either get beat by 30 or we get the upset like 2019. There is no in between this weekend. Like I said, to get the upset, you also have to hope and pray and bank on Georgia not playing their best football game. So if Georgia plays their A game, I forget it. You're not going to beat Georgia if they play their best game. And you've got to assist in that, right? You've got to force Georgia into some mistakes. For sure. Again, guys, 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. My good buddy John Strickland going to join us here shortly. So great win last weekend, gutsy win. I think that's a win that shows you the things. I think that shows you things are headed the right direction, man. I think the culture change is happening. Guys are buying in. I know it's a 3-point win over ECU, and I don't want to, beat a dead horse and harp on a 3-point win over ECU more than I should. But all the adversity that went against you, you tip your cap. Now it's on to a different challenge. Now you're in the SEC grind. So great job in the non-con. You were supposed to beat ECU. I know you were only a 2-point favorite, but you were supposed to beat ECU, which is funny. Speaking of the spread and Vegas lines, and people still want to say how dumb Vegas is. Vegas hit the nail on the head with South Carolina, East Carolina. I mean, line was on the money. Gamecocks were a 2-point favorite. They won by 3. It's insane. So I know the 31 looks crazy, the 32, and it might be crazy, but if the same South Carolina team shows up that was at East Carolina and Georgia plays like Georgia, 32 might not be enough, to be totally honest. It might not be enough. So, again, 843-790-3377. We got stickers to give away. We've got pocket schedules. We've got a real helmet on stage. So, fun night here at Tin Roof. Again, 50-cent wings at $3 drafts. Also, beat stickers. My good buddy Kirk over there in the corner in the booth. Beat Georgia stickers. Yes, get your beat stickers. Beat Georgia. To hell with Georgia. To hell with Georgia. To hell with Georgia. You love it. Kemper. What's going on, my guy Kemper? What's up, man? Are Georgia's injuries, including the quarterback, a bit of an equalizer? I don't think so. And I hate to say that. I don't think so. I think Georgia will have enough at quarterback to have success. I don't think it's going to be that. I mean, it certainly is a storyline and it's something to watch. And who knows? Maybe it will. Maybe Carson Beck's the next Quincy Carter and he goes out and throws 5 interceptions. Maybe it happens. I'm sure nobody was giving that 2000 Gamecocks team a chance when the Gamecocks pulled off the improbable upset at Willie B. So who knows? Who knows? I'd love nothing more than to see it. What a victory it would be, right? Shane Beamer's 3rd all-time game, 1st ever SEC game, and he goes out and takes down UGA. What a dub that would be. What a moment that would be, right? What a moment. Again, my buddy Kirk in the corner in the booth. Beat Georgia stickers. Stickers are in the building. The legendary fan of the game, Kirk Hollingsworth in the building. Yes. In the building. Again, 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. Taking your questions, your comments as well. Sorry about that, guys. Development's happening. Let's see. Cole said it would be a Jim Harbaugh at Stanford moment when they beat Southern Cal in the Coliseum. I think Stanford in that game was a 42-point underdog. I mean, I had people telling me like that maybe this could be like App State beating Michigan-esque. I don't know. It's kind of nerve-wracking when you're depending on like the greatest upset in college football to happen again. So, what's up? What needs the most work from, or most improvement, we could say, from East Carolina? What we've seen really the first 2 weeks, but certainly East Carolina. I mean, offensive line's where it all starts for me. Everything we're talking about, all these keys and key matchups, if your offensive line's just getting blown off the ball, we have no chance. I mean, we said it all preseason. This is a team that has to be able to run the ball. I mean, they just have to. They have to. To move the football effectively, you're going to have to be able to run it. I mean, dude, defensively, everything's looked pretty good, which is the crazy thing. You're ranked 4th nationally in defense right now. You've held opponents just 2 third-down conversions to the first 2 weeks. Was the best in the country. So defensively, you've been great. Again, you'll get a test this weekend, but you've been great defensively. Offensive line, for sure, is where it all starts for me. I think also just continuing to develop other wide receivers. Josh Van's emerged for sure, but, you know, Dak Joyner's made some catches, but you still just got to develop other guys. And outside of that, just developing consistency. I mean, again, we saw week 1, tight ends were a huge part of the game plan. You know, they played great football. They were great for you. Where did they go in week 2? Where were the tight ends? So I want to see consistency, man. You got to find playmakers, guys you can depend on week to week to week. So, I mean, there's a lot of things in this team that need improvement. There's for sure. And then quarterback play. Consistency at the quarterback position, you know? And it's hard to find that when you don't know who your starting quarterback is, right? So, but yeah, offensive line. I mean, again, nothing we are talking about. Maybe we need this guy to come talk to him. I don't know. Were you here the last time I had this? Lou Holt. I think you were. Lou Holtz on a stick. Yeah. You need improvement on that offensive line. Bottom line, you got to have it. Nothing we're talking about matters if you don't. So, yeah. I mean, poor Zeb Nolan. Poor Zeb Nolan if your line doesn't play any better. And if you get in 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s, I mean, I fear for Zeb Nolan's health. I mean, we're talking about Luke Doty and him not getting pummeled and him not getting punished. Zeb Nolan, I fear for his life, for sure. I fear for his life. Again, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Again, guys, don't shoot the messenger, but this is something that impacts us all. And again, it's not something I normally talk about on my show, but coming out about 2 hours ago, it looks like masks are back at Willie B. So University of South Carolina sending out an email, according to the city of Columbia emergency ordinance. It sounded like masks are back at Willie B. So, yeah. So Kentucky game, 7 o'clock kick. I guess I'm gonna have to fire up the Beamer Ball net gaiters back on the store. I don't know. Maybe you'll get like 1,000 of them printed and sell them outside the stadium. I don't know. So yeah, exactly. I won't repeat what somebody just said, but you can imagine the reaction. So yeah, again, don't shoot the messenger. That's just from somebody sent me a screenshot of the email, and that's what it said. So here we are. We're yeah, you can. Yeah, okay. Yes, we have confirmation in Tin Roof. So. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not that's not my lane. You know what I mean? I don't make those decisions. Some people much higher above me. I'm not a doctor either. So, but you know, that is what it is. So that's what it sounds like at least. I'm sure Ray Tanner, the University of South Carolina, will come out and confirm things and let people know what the deal is. But yeah, that's just kind of where we stand right now. So. Again, I've got people predicting 35-21. I had a guy calling today, guys, and picked 31-28 Georgia. And I hope it happens, but I'm just like, how are we going to score 28 points? Like, where are the? I think what's got to happen is this for sure. 3 things have to happen. Number 1, Georgia cannot play their best game. They play their A game, forget it. You don't have a chance. You need a defensive touchdown, and you need a special teams touchdown. Those are the 3 things that have got to happen. And then, of course, you can talk about like the O-line, the running backs, the quarterback. Those 3 things have got it. Like it's got to for an upset like you're trying to pull. It's got to be a weird night. Weird things need to happen. Well, I was convinced all last week that Luke Doty was 100%. He was going to be back. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And unfortunately, there's still Zeb Nolan smoke right now. I mean, trust me, it's as frustrating to me as it is you. Because again, I like Zeb. I appreciate everything Zeb's done. We're 2-0. Led a late drive, a couple late drives last week, but he's just not it, man. He's not the guy. He's not. So, I don't know. I don't. You know, again, it's just frustrating when you're hearing for weeks and weeks and weeks that. He's 100%. He's close to 100%. We expect him to play. And it's just, you know, again, you got to trust in Beamer, but, man, it is frustrating because it's just like we're not seeing the best version of our team. We're most certainly not seeing the best version of our offense. So, again, guys, 843-790-3377. So I'm going to have my buddy John Strickland join me here in just a couple of minutes. We'll take a couple more questions and we'll get him up here. But yeah, if I had to guess right now, I think it's going to be Zeb. And I know that sounds crazy. I know. It sounds crazy. It is crazy. I would ask this because I made this point last week, and the reaction to it was very interesting. Because I really felt like going to the game last weekend, I picked South Carolina to win 28-24, and it didn't matter to me who the quarterback was because I thought we were just going to run all over ECU. It didn't matter to me. But I have a feeling, talking to fans, this week it matters. it's going to change people's predictions for the game if Luke Doty or, versus Zeb Noland is in there. So if you want to chime in, I'd love to hear it. How does your score prediction change? How much does it change depending on who is playing quarterback? Again, like we said, though, if the offensive line doesn't get better, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. If you're running for 2 yards a carry, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So, again, I don't want to be the guy this week that's doom and gloom and just telling people we're going to lose by 50. I don't want to be that guy, But I'm also not going to pretend like this is not a huge, monumental task for Shane Beamer and company. For sure. So, yeah, Cole made the point. Doty's practicing. Means he's close to him back. Well, I thought he was practicing last week too. I genuinely don't know. It's insider season. A lot of insiders on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook right now that know a guy that know a guy that know a guy. So I don't know, man. You got to rock what Beamer says, and right now they haven't announced anything. I wonder when they'll announce. Will they announce Thursday, Friday? Will it be another game day decision? I don't know. Man. I'm just I don't know. So I think, though, again, if Doty's healthy, he needs to play. He needs to play. He needs to get the reps, devise a game plan where he doesn't get killed. But I'm weary thinking about Luke Doty's first game action of the season, his first game action coming in a Kentucky game that'll be pivotal to our season. Pivotal. You're not expected to beat Georgia, whatever. But Kentucky at home, and you'll be a dog. I guarantee you'll be an underdog, but certainly won't be 32 points. It'll be a winnable game. It's a swing game. It's a big game for Carolina for sure. It can really shift the direction of the season overall, I would say. So, yeah, Doty did play Georgia last year. I know. Yeah. Nick Muse had a big game in that one, by the way. Shout out to the Big Nick Energy shirt. Muse had a huge game that game. Yeah, I thought Doty made some decent throws. I know people love to act like he was just terrible last year. I'm not saying he was great, but he showed poise for a true freshman. He was a true freshman last year. Let's not forget. He was a true freshman. So, yeah. I'm ready to talk offensive line play if John's ready to come up here. Whenever you're ready, John. You can go get another drink. It's fine. You do whatever you want to do. This is not our first rodeo, as you all know, if you were here a couple of weeks ago. But I'm really excited, and I'm sure he loves my hat, by the way. In case you can't see this, it's a 2001 Outback Bowl vintage cap. I don't know. I don't know. I've got like 3 of these now, these vintage Outback Bowl caps. I had Andy Boyd in here 2 weeks ago, and I was telling him about this. I'll tell you too. I don't know if I sent you the pictures, but your former teammate Rod Trafford ended up sending me like a care package. Here, you pull it. Yeah.
I got a bunch of old Outback Bowl stuff too.
Yeah, he ended up sending me like the program from the 01 game, was ticket stub. It was pretty cool. But John, good to see you, bro. Like I said, I feel like this is just normal common practice for us at this point. But the reason, like I said, I'm so excited to get John up here is this man provides a lot of perspective on beating Georgia, playing Georgia, beating them between the hedges, but also offensive line play. Because I don't know that I've ever heard fans talk offensive line as much as they are right now, because it's just such a little bit of a sore spot, if you will, going in this game. Such a question mark, I should say. But we'll talk first on the Georgia series as a whole, which, again, it's very, very ironic. I guess this is almost like a back-to-back thing, because I told Andy Boyd this when I had him on. It was the week of the season opener. And 2 years ago, I had Andy Boyd on the podcast the week of the 2019 season opener. So what's ironic about this, for those who don't remember, by the way, this is going to be on the podcast tomorrow, this conversation, in case you want to hear it again. But what's ironic about this is I had John on last year on the podcast the week of the Georgia game. And so here we are now, the week of the 2021 Georgia game. So a man that knows a thing or two about playing Georgia. First, let's touch on the 2000 Georgia game. That was your first experience. I know you said you didn't play a lot in that one, right? Because I think
I was getting redshirt.
Redshirt, yeah. But obviously just the monumental win that it was, and you were a Georgia guy. And that, I guess we can start there too with what makes this I've had a lot of people call in and say, the rivalry, and it's always a close game. And I feel like that's because of the familiarity between the two schools. When you have so many Carolina guys on the Georgia roster, Georgia guys on the Carolina roster, and they kind of, a lot of guys that played against each other, with each other, sort of want to stick it to each other a little bit, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the South Carolina roster, the majority of it is made up of Georgia players other than the South Carolina players. I mean, it's just the way it is. And, of course, I grew up a Georgia fan, and I wound up coming to South Carolina because Georgia didn't sign any offensive linemen their 2000 class. So, actually, there was like 8 of us that all played in the Georgia-Florida All-Star game that all played on the Georgia team. And we all went South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, and Georgia Tech. That's where everybody went. Nobody signed with Georgia. But, yeah, I mean, it's just and you got a lot of people that went to South Carolina that live in Georgia, live in the Atlanta area, and I think that's kind of what makes it a neat rivalry, and you're only 2.5 hours away from each other. So you got a lot of – I mean, if you lived on the border, you got some family members that went to South Carolina, you got some that went to Georgia. And I think that's what makes it a big rival. I think it's a little bit bigger for us than maybe it is for them. I think it's probably second or third on our list, and it's probably fourth on their list. But, yeah, now they have beat us over the years, but past 11 years, I think it's 6 and 5.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a really good series. Yeah, it's been a really good series, back and forth, and especially, of course, when Coach Spurrier got here and, you're able to win, I think, 3 or 4, straight against him or whatever. No, it's been a great series. But you talk about it being a rivalry, and it is for sure. How because everybody thinks of Clemson and how big Clemson week is. I mean, Georgia week, I'd imagine, as a player, like, would you say that when – because I know you say, you treat every game the same, but, the juice flows a little bit different for Clemson week. What's it like for Georgia week for the players?
Well, typically in the past, which has changed some, over the last 5 or 6 years, even going back to the 2012 game, typically you'd always play Georgia first opening SEC game of the year. And to me, when I played, the Georgia game was always a bigger game than the Clemson game because Clemson had nothing to do with South Carolina winning the SEC East. 0. And I think that's what you're going for when you're playing. You're going for championships. You're not worrying about, to me, so when you put that, hey, I want to go to a national championship, a SEC championship, beat your in-state rival, that's on down the list. That's like third down the list. Winning the SEC is top of the list. So the Georgia game is definitely a bigger game than the Clemson game, 100%. I don't care how you look at it.
Yeah, and that's the attitude that Steve Spurrier brought as well when he got there and was ripping off the beat Clemson signs, whatever. He made the point. I agree with you. I agree with you 110%. I know fans hate Clemson. They sort of let that kind of cloud. It's like, guys, we've beaten Clemson before. We've never won an SEC before. Like that's what makes it. That's what makes the Georgia game. I would agree with you. Like a bigger game in that sense, in regards to trying to win a title, if that is the ultimate goal, which it should be. Yeah, beating Georgia is at the top of your priority list, if you will.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So the 2000 Georgia game, though, again, just really quickly, I know we touched on it last time I had you on, John, last year, but just experiencing that again, it's a game. I don't know if it was exactly like this weekend where it's like there's not many folks out there giving you a shot, but you guys obviously pulled the shocker, 5 interceptions. I feel like talking to some of your former teammates, man, it was one you guys expected to win, though. You expected to get that game.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. We knew in 2000 we actually had a really good team. There was tons of talent on that team. You go back and look at all the names and professional careers of the guys on those teams, we knew we had a really good team. But that game was probably the funnest day and night of my life. I mean, it was pretty awesome. I mean, we just went in. Defense just dominated that game. Just straight up put it to Georgia, and they had no answers for us.
Quincy, 5 interceptions. Who can forget? Quincy, 5 picks. The Heisman campaign was very, very short-lived for former Georgia quarterback Quincy Carter. Now, 2001, and that's where this really, I don't know if we really dove into this last year because South Carolina was hosting Georgia, of course, at home. But just for the fans out there that, we've been to Sanford as fans, but for players, what are South Carolina's players going to be enduring Saturday night when they go between the hedges? And it's going to be a packed crowd. I mean, raucous atmosphere.
I mean, it'll be electric, and especially the way Georgia has it now. I love how they do the lights blinking red, and
we need that.
I
Get
mean,
on that, Coach Tanner.
Yeah,
Get on that. Where are the
Tanner, we need that
LEDs?
for
Come
sure.
on.
But it's a tough place to play. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'd probably rank it in my toughest places to play, probably fourth or fifth.
Who would you put ahead of it?
Oh, that's easy. Little Rock, Arkansas. If you
I've
play
heard
there,
that. I've heard that.
that is the hardest, loudest, smallest stadium to play at in the country. Then you got LSU.
Yeah.
And
that makes
then
sense.
Tennessee, man, I'm telling you, in 03, and when we were there in overtime, we were down on like the 7 or 8 yard line, and I can't hear anything.
Right.
So basically, when Dondrell got under center, he would just tap me to let me know he was ready, and I just had to snap the ball because that's how loud it was. You couldn't hear a thing. So that place right there, when it's a good game and Tennessee's good like they were then, that place is super loud. But that place is also my funnest place to play.
Yeah.
I love playing at Neyland.
No, and that's a place I've actually never been. I'd love to make it up there. And of course, I've never been in Neyland. Never in Neyland. So that's on the priority list for sure. But again, we mentioned Sanford, and it gets raucous, it gets loud. But 0-1, you guys were able to hush the dogs. Obviously, Phil Petty, his late game heroics, and Brian Scott with the catch. And again, what a great game that was, an incredible game. Back-to-back wins over the Dogs. You being a Georgia kid, just what do you remember about that game specifically, getting that W in Athens?
I mean, it was just a grind-them-out game. And obviously the best part of the game is when we were able to drive down late and Brian Scott just making that just crazy catch over Bruce Thornton, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I love Brian. Brian had posters made now of himself catching that pass. He would carry them around in the trunk of his car, and anybody asked him about it, he'd pull a poster out, sign it for them, and give it to them.
Legendary move. Now, what I think is interesting too, man, is again, you won those 2 against Georgia. You also had some honestly, some heartbreaking losses. 02, 04, I think vividly. I think 04.
04 was one of the worst losses
Yeah.
I've ever had in my career.
04, I think, was the first time I ever cried as a South Carolina fan. Like I was a little kid, or I was like 12 or 13, and like literally cried watching the game because I was like, why? That was the first moment I remember thinking to myself, why does God hate my team? That's really what I thought about. It was 16-0. That was the Dondrell to Troy Williamson blackout. I mean, it's a packed Willie B. And David Green and what was it, Thomas Brown, I think, on that team, and or Freddie
Pollock.
Yeah, so Pollock was still on there too. Yeah, I mean, those. But it was, again, you've seen both sides of it. You've seen both ends of it. And again, the how great victory can feel, and also the agony of defeat in that series.
Yeah,
it's a very real thing.
The 2004 loss was probably the second worst feeling I ever had after a loss.
Right.
Other than the 03 Tennessee overtime loss the year before. But the 04 Georgia game, I mean, we're up 16-0. They come back, take the lead on us, and we're down 20-16. And we're down on the 6 yard line about to score. It's 4th and 1. Of course, I'm pleading my case of what the play call should be. The coaches say another thing, and we run what the coaches wanted to do. I think if we ran what I wanted to run, we would have got a first down, and we're going to win the game. Anyways, yeah, that was just it was a heartbreaking loss in a game we shouldn't have lost.
Yeah.
Should not have lost. I mean, that 04 team, if you go back and look at it, we finished 6-5. You can go back and look at the Georgia game, the Ole Miss game, the Arkansas game. It's just 3 games that we just gave away.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some close losses.
That team had a lot of talent on it.
Well, I mean, I think you saw Spurrier get off to such a fast start. I think he was able to translate that into wins in his first couple of seasons. Certainly, he benefited from that. Let's shift, John, into, because we're getting actually a lot of questions digitally: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And again, appreciate people tuned in. offensive line play. This year's team, you were in Greenville for the East Carolina game. What's going on with the offensive line? Because I feel, yeah.
I think I got to
deal?
text you this. So, in the East Carolina game, they were stacking 7 to 8 guys in the box and basically just saying throw it.
Right.
So I think that's why you saw the run game, the first half, just looked terrible. Obviously, the fourth quarter, we got it figured out, and we were like, hey, well, we're faster than them. Let's start hitting these outside zones on them. And it worked. But, I mean, the offensive line play, I mean, it's not all on the offensive line, but, I mean, there's been some missed assignments, and they just hadn't quite gelled together as good as you would like, especially with the guys with that many starts.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And how surprising is that when you got 4 or 5 guys coming back from a line that did what they did last year and over 80 career starts? I think that's what's the most surprising.
Well, I think
part.
one thing you got to look at, it's a new system.
Right,
Okay?
right, definitely.
So you got to take that into account. You have a new left tackle. Okay, that's left tackle is probably the second most important position on the offensive line, other than center, and so you got to take that into account. But I mean, like I said, the ECU game, they were stacking the box on us, so it's kind of hard to block guys when you're outnumbered. So I know a lot of people don't really see that, but it was happening the entire game and daring us to throw it. And obviously, we weren't able to throw it. I'm giving them the benefit of a doubt, though. I think with a team like Eastern Illinois, we should have just road graded them, no problem, and we didn't.
Right.
So that was a little bit disappointing. But like I said, O-line looked good in the fourth quarter last week, so hopefully we can carry that forward. But, yeah, I mean, you can't put it all on the O-line, but the O-line's got to step up, especially this week.
Yeah, I think, too, one of the things, especially in week 1, John, is I think the expectations for the run game also were just so high.
Yeah,
and it's
I mean,
like,
you look at what we did last year.
Right.
And
And it's
it's
like
1,000-yard back in 10 games, all SEC play. I mean,
yeah, and it's like you mentioned, too, though. I mean, I talked about it all preseason. Like, hey, if I was a defensive coordinator, I'm going to stack the box also until South kind of proves they can throw it consistently enough to make me be honest in the passing game.
I think you might see some of that this week.
Yeah.
Because Georgia's got a lot better DBs than ECU's got. So if Georgia feels like they can lock up man-to-man, they're going to just stack the box and say, until y'all start hitting some passes on us, we're just going to dare you to pass on us.
Yeah. And Jesse Jacobs makes a point, by the way. You mentioned about like a new scheme and a new system, and you've heard some of the coaches say that the O-line issues are just miscommunications with the quarterback and shifts. And so that goes back to like what you were saying with it just being new system, new scheme, new verbiage. It's just the adjustment to that.
Yeah. But still, that's no excuse. You still got to pick it up, learn it, play better. But that is definitely a contributor to what's going on.
Yeah, and I would say I still do feel encouraged about the offensive line just because, like we said, I mean, you do have 4 or 5 guys on that line that did what they did last year. Like, you can't forget about how good they were a year ago. And again, you've got depth. I think you really have. I mean, it sounds like from what Adkins and Satterfield have said, they've got 7, 8 guys they really, really like.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they've got enough to be successful. And I still feel like the running game is going to come around. But you're right. You need a passing game to complement it. It's just, you can't throw it. There's not much you can do in a run game. There's not much an offensive line can do also. So, I mean, we'll look at this game this weekend, man. Again, going to Athens between the hedges, it's no secret that the type of task it is. I mean, if you listen to Shane Beamer, which I'd love if some of our fans actually did listen when Coach Beamer talks, but he mentioned how good Georgia is, how talented they are. He said it's maybe the best Georgia team ever, best Georgia roster. Outside of a win, I'll say this: what do you most want to see, like improvement-wise? Do you want to see the offensive line? Do you want to see quarterback play?
I want to continue to see the defensive line play the way they've been playing.
Yeah.
But against better talent.
Yeah.
That's one thing I want to see. I want to see the front 7, hold Georgia in the run game and not give up big plays. And obviously, I want to see the offensive line. Let's get a little bit of a running game going. I think it'd be great if we can rush for about 150, 160 on Georgia.
That'd be
I mean,
fantastic.
Clemson had 2.
2.
Actually, I'd be happy
Two.
with about 130.
Yeah.
But I think that would show a lot of improvement. And then obviously quarterbacks, we say we're up in the air, but if Luke's 100%, I mean, you got to play Luke and put him out there and see what he can do. I mean, Zeb will probably be the first one to tell you just everything I've heard and learned about the guy because I don't know him personally, but he'll tell you last week that, man, I just threw some bad balls, missed some wide open guys. I mean, it is what it is, but I think I've heard people saying, well, why risk getting Luke hurt for Georgia and just save him for – no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
You put your best players on the field to win that game that day.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, well, we're going to lose, so we'll just not play. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, I would love for you to expand on that perspective because we actually had one, somebody in here ask earlier, and I've had a lot of fans ask me too. And there were many people saying going in the East Carolina game, well, if Luke doesn't start against ECU, you can't just throw him to the Wolves to Georgia. And it's like, can you imagine? I mean, I'm like, it's easy. We can sit here and entertain a narrative like that, but I'm like, just picture it. Can you imagine Shane Beamer going up to Luke Doty and saying, hey, we know you're 100%, you're ready to go, you want to play in the game, but we're scared for you or something? I mean, I can't even fathom that type of conversation happening.
Yeah, Luke would be like, are you joking? I'm not scared. I'm
Right.
excited to go play.
Right.
I played against these guys last year. Now, we might have got beat up, but, hey, I want another shot.
Right.
Let's get competitor mindset. Not everybody has it. The guys playing on Saturday, they know what it's about. Play your best player. You're going to go try and win the game because I'm telling you right now, okay, Georgia's had, since Kirby's been there, probably top 3 recruiting classes in the country just about every year.
Yeah.
All right, so they got a bunch of 4- and 5-star players, Well, if you go down our roster, we actually have a good bit of 4-star players and a few 5-stars sprinkled in. It can be done. Now, I don't think it's going to get done this Saturday. It's a tall task, but you just never know what's going to happen. So you're not going to leave anything in the tank. You're not going to say, oh, we're just going to hold you back and we'll save you for what we think we can win next week against Kentucky. Yeah. That's just not how it
I mean,
works.
this is kind of a game, too, that'll sort of set the tone in a way for, like, I mean, it's your SEC opener. You know what I mean? I think outside of the result, I think a lot of positive can come from this weekend. I think a lot of good things can come from this weekend. You show signs of improvement, like you were saying, and you can carry that momentum over, if you will, over into the Kentucky game. And I mean, it's a long SEC season, so I think a lot of good can come out of this weekend in Athens. To be honest with you,
I agree 100%. I mean, it's just another week to get better.
Yeah.
Even though the competition's better, it's just you got to go out and get better.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron for sure. Defensively, you mentioned the front 7. How impressed? I know that, again, people are going to argue you've played 2 lesser opponents, if you will, but I feel like it's not hard to see that just like fundamentally, the defense just looks night and day different from last year. How impressed have you been early with the defense?
I think they look great, including the linebackers. The front 7's been really good through 2 games. Yes, it's been lesser opponents, but, I mean, they have just – I mean, so you can look at the East Carolina game last week. Man, well, you gave up 17 points. Well, guess what? The offense had 3 turnovers in the first quarter and then a trick play on the first play of the game.
Yeah.
If none of that happens, I think we win last week probably 31-10.
Yeah.
Seriously. 31-7.
Yeah.
That's what I think the final score would have been, but you made too many mistakes. Give up a trick play on the first play of the game. Yeah, all that cost it to be as close as it was. The game really wasn't as close as you think it was.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't.
Have you ever seen a game with that much home cooking in it?
Boy, I don't even want to get into it.
Those calls with the refs, man.
Chrissy's out there shaking her head. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
We were there watching. It was bad.
Right.
I've never seen so many. Let's go check the replay.
It was brutal watching it on TV as well. I can tell you that much. I mean, it from the Dak Joyner down, not down thing to, I mean, every 50-50 call going against Carolina. But, looking back at that game too, though, man, I said it after the game, whatever the score, you found a way to win. I feel like that's one of those wins for Coach Beamer he can really use to build on and build the program. It's kind of like, I feel like a win like that, again, no matter who it comes against, it sort of reaffirms everything they're saying in the building. It's like, hey, this is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing that. Like, this is why what we're telling you, we're not just blowing smoke up your ass. Like, there's a reason for everything. And again, when you're able to fight adversity and get a win like that, I don't want to put too much stock in a week 2 win over East Carolina, but really, I feel like it's one of those wins Shane Beamer and company can build on.
Yeah, 100%. And it allows you to correct mistakes because there was a ton of them, a ton of mistakes. But a win's a win. Yeah, for sure. I'll take a 1-point win every week of the season.
Yeah, and it's a lot more fun to correct mistakes coming off of a W than it is coming off of a loss.
Yes, 100%.
No question.
Because the mindset's different.
Yeah, absolutely. John, this has been fun. Before I get you out of here, you look at this weekend again, like I said, I think we all agree it's 2019 happened. Anything can happen for sure. By the way, the Gamecocks were a 24.5-point underdog the last time they went to Athens and won the game straight up. But in your mind, what has to happen for South Carolina to pull the upset?
The defense is just going to have to play a great game. They're going to have to play like Clemson played Georgia.
Right.
They're going to have to play that good. Maybe not quite that good, but they're going to have to play really strong. And I think you're going to have to at least get 2, maybe 3 turnovers and maybe a big juju play on special teams or something to pull the upset.
Yeah.
I really think Luke gives us probably the best chance to win the game. So I think if he's 100%, he'll be in there. No, appreciate what Zeb's done,
Right,
but
right.
There's a reason.
Right.
Luke was a starting quarterback. Through spring into last year, there's a reason. And everybody wants to say, well, Luke's not accurate with the ball. Well, how do you know? You saw him 2 games last year as a true freshman. You don't know how much he's improved, how much he hasn't improved. That spring game was a joke, means nothing. I think Luke's athletic ability helps us big time in this game to move the ball up and down the field because Georgia has really good athletes. Luke's one of the fastest guys on the team.
Yeah.
He's a really good athlete. So I think that's it. And you're going to have to get the running game going somehow. So I think that's kind of your keys to the game. But I think the defense is going to have
Lead
to
the way.
step up and just have a phenomenal game, which with the front 4 we got and the 2 deep on the front 4, I think those guys have a chance to disrupt that Georgia offense.
Have you ever seen a game like this one this Saturday where, we don't know quarterbacks for either team at this point? Like, it's insane. Like,
yeah, it's kind of crazy, especially for 2 teams going into a game.
Right,
now,
right.
I've seen it for 1 before.
Right.
Obviously, we've seen
Right.
it for the past. Definitely last week we saw it, which I kind of already knew before the game that just from some of my hearsay that Luke wasn't playing. So, but no, it's pretty wild, right?
It's
2
crazy.
starting quarterbacks. You have no clue if
The
they're
number 2
starting or
team in the
not.
country has to go to the
I
third
really don't
stringer?
think Georgia's starting quarterback starting. I
JT
don't think
Daniels.
JT Daniels is starting, but I've been proven wrong before. But from what I heard, he's in pretty good pain.
Yeah. Everybody's got
Especially throwing the ball.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was going to say everybody's got a guy right now. So do you want to share any breaking news about Luke Doty's status going to the weekend? Everybody's asking me. I'm like, bro, I have no idea. I have no clue. Beamer, Satterfield, the guys on the roster, and God are the only people that know what's going to happen at quarterback.
Yeah. No, I don't have a concrete answer for you.
Yeah.
But if he's 100%, he may not start the first series, but he's definitely playing.
Yeah, he's got to. He's got to for sure. John, I appreciate it as always, my friend. By the way, your beard's looking fantastic these days.
Yeah,
so.
it's about to get trimmed up, though.
Trimmed up, really? Really?
Maybe come November,
Yeah, why not?
we'll let it roll through January.
Yeah, dude, do it. I think it looks great, honestly. I don't know if the everyone would approve, but I think it looks awesome. So either way. Former Gamecocks offensive lineman John Strickland, everybody. Appreciate you, John, coming by. Again, always a pleasure. Give it up for John. I'll be over there to have a couple brewskis with you here in a second. Again, great stuff from John, as always, the perspective. And again, I really, really enjoy talking with a guy like John, especially when you talk offensive line play, because I just feel like it's one of those positions. If you did not actually play it, you're just kind of guessing. Like you don't really, you don't really know what's going on to the extent of someone obviously that understands the intricacies of it and the what all goes into it. So again, new system, guys, new scheme. It's going to take time. You got to be patient. It's going to take time for everybody to get on the same page, and you just hope it happens sooner rather than later. And you hope sooner is by this weekend in Athens. So, again, 843-790-3377, guys. It's 843-790-3377. Taking your questions, your comments, your calls. If you're here live at 10, again, appreciate you all coming out. Thank you so much for the love and support, man. It's incredible being here in season. We got my good buddy Kirk Collingsworth here as well. Super fan, legendary fan. How about Kirk? He's got the Beat Georgia stickers if you need them, by the way. Go see Kirk. Go steal all his stickers. It's not like he doesn't get them for free anyways. Yeah, so really good stuff. Again, to hell with Georgia. It is Georgia week. To hell with Georgia. If you're heading to Athens, be sure to give the Dog fans hell for sure. Be safe. I think Georgia fans have been known to pour a beer on a fan or two, so just keep it together. So to hell with that's actually a very good idea. To hell with Georgia stickers need to hit the store. That is a very good point. I could definitely make that in like 2 seconds too. So you might see those drop tomorrow. But nah, man, really exciting stuff. Again, Georgia week is always really fun, and it's a fun week for me personally, just where I grew up on the border of South Carolina and Georgia. And I'd probably say growing up I hated Georgia more than I hated Clemson. Just because of, again, Clemson was sort of like on our level, 500, 6-6 type of team, whatever. Georgia was, they've always been kind of Georgia. They were pretty good, whatever. I mean, this is back DJ Shockley, David Green, David Pollock, whatever. But their fans are just brutal, awful, terrible. And Clemson fans eventually caught up and surpassed them when they got good. They're like the most insufferable human beings in the world now. But no, I can't stand Georgia, bro. I loathe Georgia. Do not get it twisted. I make picks based off of realistic expectations, a thing of that nature, but I can't stand the Georgia Bulldogs. Quick shout out, by the way, to John. Justin Langford says, thanks to John Strickland. Him and Chris White were awesome. So there you go. A little shout out from the folks tuned in on Facebook. But again, guys, 843-790-3377. You look back at 2019, though, what South Carolina did, and John mentioned it, turnovers. Turnovers are going to have to happen. You're not going to be even or negative in the turnover margin and win this football game. Go ahead. Got a question here.
Okay. So, most likely, Stetson Bennett coming in and being the starting quarterback.
The mailman, yes, the mailman.
So, we saw that JT Daniels ended up taking his position from him last year.
All right.
What does South Carolina have to do to get him off his grind to where he cannot win that, or not win the football game, or keep it?
Stetson Bennett, you're talking about. If he's the starter for Saturday, which who knows, right? Well, you got to get pressure. There's no question. It's one of my key matchups going to the game because I tend to think Carson Bex is going to start, but I don't know. Maybe it will be Stetson Bennett. I have no idea, but. In a game like this, and I actually talked about this a lot during baseball season, but when you're in a game like this, your best players have to rise to the challenge and play their best games. So, to me, a guy like J.J. Nigbare, he's got to be that dude. He's just got to be that dude. There's no other way to put it. Great players make big plays in big-time games and in big-time moments. J.J.'s got to be that guy. Again, you look back at 2019, Javon Kinlaw was a monster that game. Right? He was arguably your best player defensively, or at least one of them, and he had his best game. A guy like J.J. Nigbare is just going to have to do the same. He's going to have to ball out. He's going to have one of those career days, if you will. Who's going to be that guy? Who's going to have the Izzy McCwamu game Saturday? Who's going to force a couple of turnovers, have a pick six, have a scoop and score? To pull a big upset. That's the recipe. That has to happen. It's not an if it happens. It has to happen if you're going to win the game. That's why I mentioned like Beamer Ball. Beamer Ball can play a huge factor in this game. You block a punt, you block a kick. Hey, if South Carolina opens the game and takes the opening kick back for a touchdown, all of a sudden the whole perception of the game has just changed. The whole scope of the game changes. So Beamer Ball can play a big factor. I think it has to play a big factor. It needs to play a big factor. But because again, I don't think you're going to just straight up line up and beat them. I don't think your roster is there right now. That's just the reality. Your roster is not there. You got to give Shane Beamer time to build, recruit, develop. You do that, good things will happen. And, I think we'll look up in a couple of years and we'll be getting a lot closer to that level. We'll we'll be giving Georgia. We won't be 32-point underdogs. I can tell you that much. But right now, I mean, that's where you are. If you really want to call it for what it is, and again, certainly it could have been 31-10 South Carolina last week, but people ask why is the spread so big? Well, I mean, South Carolina struggled to beat a bad ECU team. I mean, they had a game-winning field goal against East Carolina. That's how people look at it. That's how people look at it. So it's just kind of where you are right now, and that's. I'm not a big I told you so guy. You make as many predictions and projections as I make, you get damn near as many of them wrong as you get right. But I tried to tell people all week last week, hey, this is going to be a tight game. It's going to be a competitive game. I just, going to their place, early season, we're still changing the culture. It's still, new system, new scheme, everything. It's going to be a close game. People thought I was crazy. People made me feel crazy for picking a 4-point win. You'd have thought I picked us to lose. Picked a 4-point win. People saying, Chris, no way. We're going to win by 21, 28. We're going to blow them out. It's like, I don't think that's who we are yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're kind of I hate to say it, we're a bit of a ragtag bunch right now. We're just kind of trying to figure it out. We're just trying to figure it out, man. So, and that's okay. This is game 3 of year 1 of Shane Beamer. It's okay. We're just trying to figure it out right now. So, but again, good can come from Saturday. I'm not saying throw in the towel and don't even show up. And no, good can come, man. I think even in whether it be in victory or defeat, good can come from this football game. If you can establish the run, if you can run the football, if you can show signs of improvement on your offensive line, that's the biggest thing to me. I think your defense is going to go out and do all they can. I think your front 7, your defensive line, I would expect them to rise to the challenge. This be a really good test for the secondary. We see the defensive improvements. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think we have the best defense in the SEC or anything. I think still when you look back, we'll probably have the 8th or 9th best defense in the league. I mean, just realistically, man, we got to play some real competition. There's still holes in the secondary. But I think the defense is going to do all they can to just hold on for dear life. It's your offense has just got to help them. That's the thing. They got to help them. You can't be going 3 and out, and you have to be able to run the football because, again, like I mentioned earlier, this is not a team that is built to win in 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s. That is just not a down and distance we are going to be very successful in. And that's many teams. But especially South Carolina where we don't really have a vertical passing game yet. We don't have 4 or 5 guys on the outside that can really, really beat you. I mean, Josh Vann, dude, tip the cap to Josh Vann. He has emerged as a real threat for you. And, we mentioned in the preseason, there's going to be guys on this roster that you're going to be able to tell have benefited from a new coaching staff and a new voice and a new culture. I think Josh Vann certainly is one of those guys. I think DeCarrion Joyner is one of those guys. I think guys on that defense, certainly. I think it's made a huge difference for a couple of those guys. Jalen Dickerson. So, yeah, man, are you going to be able to throw the football at all, like John was saying? I mean, what's the solution? Is somebody going to step up? Is it going to be Jalen Brooks? So you're going to have to be able to throw it. Or, excuse me, you're going to be able to run it. You're going to have to. Offensive line's got to get a push. I want to see improvement from the O-line more than I want to see anything, though, this weekend. I just want to see the O-line come together. But, hey, if Georgia's stacking the box, man, I mean, what are you going to do? You got to throw it. You have to throw it. Get creative. I don't know. But you're going to have to throw it. Again, 843-790-3377. Let's see. Jimmy says, Georgia's just playing games. They know who's starting just like we do. Bunch of gamesmanship this week. Colton says, what would you say is the biggest improvement under Beamer thus far? I'd say playing all 4 quarters instead of one half or the other. Do we have anything going for us on Saturday? The biggest improvement, yeah, I mean, I would say, man, you just look at Saturday. The overall fight, and I'm not saying like last year's team didn't fight or 2018 or anything like that, but I guess you could say on the field, though, the defense has made huge strides early. The defense has made major strides early. It's just, again, night and day difference between last year and this year. And what's crazy is the defense last year had way more talent on it, at least in the back half, more NFL talent. I mean, that's undeniable. Look at J.C. Hornets, McComu, Ernest Jones, what they're all doing. It had more NFL talent. So, Yeah, it had more talent, but right now your guys are flying around. They're flying to the football. They're playing with passion, energy. The tackling, fundamentally, everything looks better. So, it's a pleasure to see for sure. I mean, I think Gamecock fans, they can live with that, even if the defense this year isn't quite as good as we're going to hope near the season's end. I think we can live with that as long as you're fundamentally sound. I mean, that's all everybody really wants to see. So, guys playing the right way. I'd like to see a guy like Cam Smith not get some stupid penalties. That's my biggest concern, or biggest gripe, I'd say. But other than that, he's flying around. He's playing great football. I think you see the potential for him to be, your number one option on the outside. I think certainly he is your number one option on the outside in regards to the defensive back position. But yeah, that, and then of course, like I said, just playing all 4 quarters. I'd agree. Again, what's very funny though is it's just very popular right now for people to bash Muschamp, and I'm certainly not up here like defending him, but people say like, oh, we would have never come back with our previous head coach. It's like we literally did though in 2017 against Louisiana Tech. We found on 16-0, came all the way back, won 17-16 on a game winner. So again, I remember thinking Muschamp wasn't a good coach before it was cool to think that on Twitter, because that's what everybody does now. So whatever, it's just Twitter, I guess. Chris Chandler, what do you think about Georgia's running game this year? Very good. Their offensive line is big, physical, one of the best in the country. Zamir White's a fantastic player. You go down the list of running backs they have, it's a very comparable running back room to South Carolina. I know we love to all take it personally when the Gamecocks running back room isn't ranked number 1 in the SEC, but there's a lot of good ones. Georgia's is very, very good too. The more things change, the more they stay the same in regards to, I know Georgia's trying to modernize the offense, and they are modernizing the offense, but I feel like at Georgia, it's always going to be an expectation to be physical, smash mouth football, run the football. That's always going to be a part of their game plan. So Georgia's going to run the ball Saturday. There's no question. They're going to run the ball. They're going to look to establish the run, stop the run, all that good stuff. So it'll be a great test. It'll be a great challenge. It'll be a great challenge for your defensive line. There's no question. Let's see. Yeah. Somebody mentions Clayton White mentioned today that if he was in a dark alley or in a bar fight, he would want Aaron Sterling, Brad Johnson, and Sherrod Green with him. So take that for what it's worth, whatever that means. Again, guys, 50-cent wings, $3 drafts here tonight at Tin Roof. Get your fill. I will most certainly be doing so after we finish up here in just about 15 minutes or so. But, yeah, go ahead. We got another question from the crowd. Go ahead.
What do you think of Satterfield so far? Do you like his play calling? Do you think it's where it really needs to be for this coming Saturday?
Yeah. Okay, so opinions on Marcus Satterfield, because, again, that's a very interesting point you bring up. And, again, it goes back to my point that in victory, you kind of you overlook some things. Winning cures all, right? Winning cures all. As long as you win, that'll cure all. If you lose, you break down everything and deep dive in everything and whatever. It's hard for me to judge Satterfield because I just feel like the offense in a lot of ways is so limited with personnel. Again, I think it'd be hard for any OC to have success with us passing the football right now. There just aren't a ton of options. So now, granted, were there some calls on Saturday that I was scratching my head a little bit? Yeah, there were for sure. And so was everybody else that was around me. No fans like when it's 3rd and 9 and you run a draw play. I can tell you that right now. It's just not fun to watch. I think you saw sort of how limited Carolina is in the passing game when it was 3rd and 7 at ECU's 30, and you ran the ball at the middle try to settle for a field goal. It's like, how much do you trust the passing game? Obviously not a ton. So I think the jury's still out on Satterfield. I mean, I have no reason. See, I'm not one of these fans. I don't start guilty till proven innocent. Like, I have no reason to dislike Satterfield at this point. I think he's done a fine job. Again, it's hard to really judge when they're so limited personnel-wise. Now, again, I mean, if we're talking this way, the 10th or 11th game of the season, and we haven't seen any improvements offensively, it'll be hard to call year one a success. I don't give a damn who your personnel is because you've got to make something work around the personnel. But until we see QB1 in there, You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to you can't give Satterfield a grade right now. You know what I mean? I don't think you can. So I'm still a Satterfield fan. I'm a Beamer fan above all. So I don't think Beamer would have employed Marcus Satterfield if he felt like he'd be anything other than an asset for his football team and his football program and his offense specifically. So, yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and what's scary too, you know, what he mentioned was just the figuring out the running back core and figuring out the running game. And again, John brought up the point though; they're stacking the box. They're not respecting the pass right now. That's the problem, and that's what scares me going in this game this weekend. You threw the ball against EIU, but you didn't even hit 200 yards passing. I think in the game, maybe you did. Maybe you hit a little bit over. I think Zeb Nolan himself threw for like 185. But you know, people were saying, and again, I know there's like strategy in football and you disguise things, but I just don't get, you know, people, there's some fans coming into Georgia like, oh, we just haven't really showed them the playbook yet. It's like, bro, if you're trying to work on your game and you're trying to test and experiment with the vertical passing game, like, bro, EIU and ECU are the teams to do it against. Georgia is not the team to experiment with. That's how things go horribly wrong. So, again, I think there's limitations, man. It's like I said. I'll tell you this. This was my biggest issue with Satterfield's play calling on Saturday. Again, I'm not giving him a bad grade or anything, but I just feel like I know we want to throw the football, but dude, our best bet's running the ball. That's it. On Saturday, I truly felt like I feel more confident in us running the ball 3 times and getting a first down versus throwing it 3 times and getting a first down. You know, and there were certain situations where first down and 10, we rush for 3 yards on the first play. Then we go pass. It's just like, what's the point, dude? What's the point of that? You know what I mean? Like, and again, it's getting you in that 3rd and 7 or longer. We're not built to win in that down and distance. At least in my opinion, we're not. So until more receivers step up. So, John Kruger says he's not overlooking how bad the offense was on Saturday, even though we won. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, that South Carolina team, if that team shows up to Athens, we'll lose by 50. There's no question. I mean, Georgia minus 31, easiest bet of the weekend. I mean, people got really upset when I said yesterday that, and I'm not comparing South Carolina as a team to this football team that I'm about to mention, but unfortunately, how I felt going into week 1, South Carolina EIU, that's kind of how I feel this game, but the opposite. I mean, they're just more talented than you, man. Top to bottom, they just are. So, granted, of course, again, I'm not saying that South Carolina is EIU. That's no question. That's not what I'm saying. But in regards to, will Georgia just be able to do whatever they want to do? I mean, you know, I don't know. But I don't want to preach like it's impossible, like it can't happen. It happened in 2019. You were a 24.5-point dog. You went there. Nobody was. I wasn't giving them a chance. I did feel strangely optimistic that game, but I wasn't giving South Carolina a chance. But, you know, not really. It's a funny story about that game that week. I thought about going to Athens, and I was like, you know what? Let's just throw a watch party in Cola instead because I don't think we're going to win. I don't want to travel and watch us get our brains beat in. And sure enough, we win the football game. So, I mean, you just never know, right? You never know. It's college football. Anything can happen. Bro, Jacksonville State beat Florida State. Thank God we're not FSU fans, at least. How are they feeling right now? You imagine if we were doing a FSU show right now? Good God. So, I'm looking forward to the game. Anytime South Carolina and Georgia play on the field, it's always a good time. But I think it's healthy to have perspective going in of just what type of task it's going to be. But again, that's not to say that positive things can't come from the game. We can see a lot of positive things come from this game on Saturday, offensively, defensively, special teams, everything. And it's like I said in the preseason too, it's not about, a lot of it's not about the final result. It's how South Carolina plays. Like in this game, to me, I just want to see a team go out there, compete for 4 quarters, compete for 60 minutes. Whether you win by 30 or lose by 30, at the end of the game, Georgia looks up and says, bro, we don't want any more South Carolina. Like they made us earn every single yard. They were physical. They were tough. They were nasty. We don't want to play them again. It wasn't very fun playing them. So that's what I want to come out of it, man. I mean, you just can't, you can't have a scenario like last year, 48-3, Texas A&M, right? I think everybody agrees that, and I don't think it'll be that way. I think you'll see a football team. I think this team will be ready to play. I think they'll approach this thing the right way. I think Shane Beamer will have his team ready to play. And like I've said all week, guys, what I'm saying is not what Shane Beamer and these players are saying behind closed doors. They expect to go win, which is what they should do. Again, if you don't expect to go beat Georgia, you shouldn't be in that building. But we have the advantage, or just the perspective, if you will, of having a different, unique perspective. We can look at it black and white and make projections and make predictions, and we can look at a Vegas spread and yeah. So, I don't want our guys worried about, what the spread is or what the over-run. That's not something you should be concerning yourself. Well, you need to be concerned with just lining up and go winning each and every single play. One play at a time. Go win it one play at a time. That's it. Again, crazy things can happen. Crazy things can happen. Sean Purdy says we haven't played Doty for a reason. He's the other half of the playbook. Yeah, so that's the other point. It's just until Luke Doty gets in there, I mean, I think the offense is going to look totally different with him in there. I'd have to imagine. I really do believe that if Doty's healthy, he'll play. I don't know if it's maybe his injury is a little bit worse than they initially thought. I don't know. I do probably think what happened last weekend is the coaching staff looked around and said, hey, Doty's at like 95%. If he needed to go, he could go, but we can beat ECU without him. Well, here's great question. He says, why wouldn't they just tell us that? And see, that's what was frustrating, honestly. That was one of the most frustrating things with the previous regime. Here's the thing. Fans just want to understand. Fans don't like feeling like they're left in the dark. Right? They don't want to be confused. They want it all to make sense, even when a lot of it doesn't make sense. But the reality is this: they don't have to tell us anything. They don't have to. They don't have to. And again, football, man. I just being a baseball guy, that's what always makes me chuckle at like football. Like, it's all about like this secrecy and like, we got to close practice, we got to close scrimmages. Like, bro, what are you hiding? I mean, it's football, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think some of it's kind of silly, to be honest with you. I do. That's not in baseball. You just show up and you go play. I mean, it's a different sport, obviously, but it's like, just show up and play, bro. Like, so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, but they don't have to tell us anything. They don't have to tell. And I don't think Beamer has been, I'm just guessing, by the way. I don't think Beamer has been like lying to us about anything. I think that, he's been transparent about, I'm not going to try to like accuse Shane Beamer of he's not been transparent. I think he's been as transparent as he possibly can be. But again, they don't owe us like an explanation. Just to be totally honest with you, they just don't. I mean, it's and heck, I remember fans complaining last year when Will Muschamp was the head coach and saying we should have standard injury reports for college, just like they do in the pros, just because it got so ridiculous with the injuries. It got so ridiculous with Kier's got an ankle, but he should be ready to go for Saturday. And then he's out for 6 weeks. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any, and that's what pisses fans off. You know what I mean? But gamesmanship, I guess. It's gamesmanship, whatever that means. Gamesmanship. So, but you need Luke Doty Saturday, like John said. You got to have Luke Doty. You don't have Luke Doty, you don't have a shot. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. This isn't 1995. You're not going to win this game 7-3 or 10-7. I know Clemson, Georgia did it, which was shocking. You're not going to do it, though. You're going to have to score. You're going to have to score points. I don't necessarily know how you're going to do it, but you're going to have to find a way to do it. So we'll see if South Gun again. I don't know. My best bet under 48. I think South Gun their best chance in this game. Run the football, establish the line of scrimmage, play keep away, shorten the game, keep Georgia's offense off the field. Keep your defense rested. You do all those things, force a few turnovers, Beamer ball plays a major role. You do all that, you might have a chance. You might have a chance. So, Georgia's just, you got to tip their cap. And like, guys, I mean, again, I picked the Dogs to win the national championship for the season. So obviously I think Georgia's pretty good. I think they're pretty good. I don't want to give them more credit than they deserve, but I mean, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. And I know we all love to slam Clemson and like, Georgia couldn't even score an offensive touchdown against Clemson. Their offense sucks. I mean, that's a Clemson defense that returned 10 of 11 from last year, was one of the best in the country. I mean, let's not pretend like, it was a bunch of scrubs they went up against in week 1. That was a pretty good team they played. So, yeah, Georgia's a good team. Georgia's a good team. So, they're not unbeatable, but they're a good team. So, I mean, hey, they have Will Muschamp on their staff. So, I mean, they certainly could lose to us. They could lose to us. So, I tell you, too, I mean, not that it'll matter for Saturday, but Kirby Smart, I thought his comment earlier this week was crazy when he said that the 2019 game, he said it was, quote, more to do with us and less to do with them of why South kind of won. And I'm like, you're literally saying that about a guy that's currently on your staff. Like that's so basically he was saying we lost the game. Carolina didn't win the game about the 2019 game. I don't know if Kirby's salty or I mean I get the point he's trying to make, but just didn't I don't know. I would have probably saved that one. Would have saved that one for behind closed doors. But either way, whatever. You're going to need Georgia to not have their best night, not have their best outing, take advantage of every single mistake. You do that, again, you give yourself a chance. Who knows? Maybe you can look up in the fourth quarter, start of the fourth quarter, and it's a touchdown game. Just maybe. And all of a sudden then, hey, but the beauty is this, man, you're 2-0. You're 2-0 right now. And the beauty is this. Our players are 18 to 22-year-old kids, right? They lack self-awareness. They don't know they're supposed to lose. They don't know that they're not supposed to win. I mean, I know they see probably social media, and some of them probably do say, or look at like Vegas lines and whatever, all that stuff. But dude, they don't. There's no reason in their mind they can't win the football game. That's great. That's awesome. So you do really just never know. You just really do never know. I hope to see it. To hell with Georgia. I can't stand them. To hell with Georgia. On that note, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, close things out. Like I said, 50-cent wings, $3 drafts. Always a really good time here at Tin Roof. Again, appreciate the fine folks at Tin Roof for having us out yet again, man. It's been an incredible start to the season. No matter what happens this weekend, even if you fall, even if the game goes how many expect, who wouldn't have taken 2-1 after 3 weeks? So, hey, you won that East Carolina game, a game that I said you absolutely had to have. And now that you've beaten ECU, no matter what happens this weekend, the door is wide open. The door of possibilities is open for your season. Getting to a bowl game is realistic. You need to get QB1 healthy, but getting to a bowl game is very realistic. It can happen. So who knows? That's why they play the game. The game's not played on paper. That's the beauty of it. That's why they play the game. But I'm excited for it for sure. I think we're going to continue to learn a lot about this football team, and this team will continue to develop. Get better week to week. Develop. Continue to develop. Get better. That is the number one thing in this football game. Let's see continued development. So on that note, guys, again, I appreciate y'all coming out. Tin Roof here in the Vista. Appreciate them having us. 50-cent wings, $3 drafts. Tip your bartenders for sure. And, yeah, we'll talk soon. To hell with Georgia. Y'all have a great rest of the night. Take care.